Netflix had 60 million subscribers watching the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson boxing match. Now, a lot of people would say that that's a success, but was it really? Hey everybody, welcome to The Practical Place where project management meets real life. My name is Ryan Holguin and I'm a certified project management professional. And today I actually want to switch gears a little bit from the typical project management conversations that we typically have here. And I want to talk about something that happened in the culture over the weekend, which is this Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson boxing match. Now, a lot of folks tuned in to watch this. Netflix says it has about 60 million subscribers. I think at one point it said it peaked at 65 million concurrent viewers at one time. And I wanted to talk about this because this was actually a fight that I tuned in to watch. I have Netflix and I wanted to watch it. It was free with the subscription, so I guess it wasn't free, but I was really interested because it's obviously a spectacle. If you're a real boxing fan, this is probably not, the first fight you would show somebody to try to get them to enjoy boxing, but I wanted to watch it because it's a spectacle. I enjoy fighting, and this is a huge, situation happening in the culture as it relates to boxing and entertainment and things like that. Even if you aren't a boxing fan, Mike Tyson is somebody you probably heard of, but he's also 58 years old. And so that was a huge question mark coming into it, which was, can this guy actually do the impossible, which is come back after being retired for almost 20 years and knock out or beat a 27-year-old guy seemingly in his prime, even though he's pretty green to the sport. So I wanted to just kind of talk about it because Netflix is claiming that it had 60 million subscribers watching in, and that was kind of their number, and it peaked at 65 million subscribers. So a lot of people would say that this is a success, right? So I have my screen up here, as you can see, and a lot of this, you just look up Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, and it doesn't have to take long to know that they had an issue as far as their streaming went. It was constantly buffering. This was actually an issue I had in my experience watching it. I was watching the fight and everything was fine I think there was 4 fights on the main card, and I watched the 2 first fights and everything was fine. It was working fine, but then when the co-main event happened, it was Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor, and this was a really high level fight, probably the best fight of the night. But in that fight, that's when the streaming started to kick in. I'm imagining that's when more people started to tune in to watch, because that's all people wanted to talk about. You put Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, that's what people are wanting to watch. So as the night went on and on, the streaming buffering issue started to increase and increase and increase. And I want to try to find the number here and figure out how many exactly issues there were, because what I saw, even in my experience trying to watch the fight, in Netflix, I tried to go back about 5 minutes and watch it. I was on Reddit trying to figure out what exactly to do, because I figured if I'm having this issue, surely everybody else is having this issue. So you go on, you do a quick search during the fight, and you realize, or during the event, and you realize I'm not the only one dealing with this. And so, I went back 5 minutes to try to just, maybe it just needed to catch up and it was my internet or something. And that worked for a little bit, but then it would get, once it got to like the 12th round, I think in that co-main event, that's when the streaming was very consistent, very constant, never worked. And in Netflix, I want to say it was halfway through the actual main event where streaming started to catch up a little bit and the buffering stopped happening as much, but it was still happening. So in reality, although they had 60 million people watching, I want to know how many of those people actually got to watch the fight. Now, to me, and this is where the project management side of this conversation comes in, is there's a term that's called vanity metrics. And what that is basically you're putting up these high level numbers and saying, well, we had 60 million subscribers watching our fight and 65 peaked at one time. And that sounds great. You hear that number and everybody just says this was a major success and everybody's happy about that. But that's where I think numbers and metrics can be a little misleading, and where the term vanity metric comes in is because Netflix is really showing this number they want you to see, which is 60 million viewers, but they don't want to show you the number where they had hundreds of thousands of people that could not actually watch the stream. Now, if you do the math on that, maybe it's a percentage point or 2, or maybe even 5, right? And as I read, I think it was a press release where I want to say the CTO, one of the leaders there, here it is right here. 60 million households tuned in for Jake Paul, Mike Tyson, nearly 5 million for Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor. So as you can see, as I said, I didn't even read this headline before I got on here, but as you can see, this is when the traffic started to pick up, is when the co-main event started to happen. And that's when my buffering started to mess up. And that's when I started to see online a lot of people started having issues. So 60 million households got to watch this, 50 million for the co-main event. They're talking about how big of a event this was. They talk about, we had 80 million, double the Texas gate record for combat sports and topping Canelo. And so they're going to throw out these big things. This is Netflix website, obviously, so they're going to promote this thing. But when you think about success and you go into a project or you go into an event like this, you probably have objectives you want to meet. They probably have a lot of revenue goals they want to meet, a lot of streaming goals they want to meet, and maybe they check the box from that standpoint. And maybe that's what success, all that it is. But when you have this outcry of people, let me go to Perplexity and see if I can find it on here. But when you have an outcry of your customers, of your users, saying there's a major issue here and I literally did not get to watch the fight live, is that what you define success, or are you only concerned with getting that metric from that user so that you can put it on your press release so your stock price can go up? Let's search here on Perplexity and ask how many streaming issues happened during Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. So yeah, so it says right here, I said 100,000 of issues. It says, if you just are taking Perplexity's word for it, widespread issues, nearly 85,000 viewers reported problems with outages or streaming leading up to the fight, according to Down Detector. Timing and duration, complaints about Netflix streaming issues started to rise just before the 8 p.m. local time and peaked over 88.7 thousand, approximately 9:30. I want to say this was exactly around when the fight was happening. I don't know what local time means here. I guess local time in Dallas. And then it says the CTO sent a memo to the staff calling the event a huge success, despite the streaming issues, which was met with criticism from viewers. So even if you just look at that, right, that's great that it was a success for you, Netflix. That's wonderful that you guys met your objectives and goals. To me, it's a little tone deaf to come out and say, this was a huge success, and you don't really empathize with the customer that tuned in, that might have just bought a subscription just to watch this fight, and they literally did not get to watch the fight. I don't know if refunds are going to be issued for this or what. Probably not. Maybe it will be. That'd be great. But to me, when you're thinking about adding value to the customer as a project manager, you're thinking about the objectives you want to meet, and hopefully in their objectives that they're embedding, they're measuring success at some level that happens, that coincides with the awesome experience of the viewer. Obviously, people in the AT&T Stadium where this event took place were satisfied. They got to see everything. Now, the fight, you want to argue, probably wasn't that entertaining. Everything I got to end up seeing, it was not that entertaining, but they at least got to experience it with no buffering issues. Now, the thousands and thousands of people at home, all they wanted to watch was Paul Tyson, because that was the event that it was promoting, and literally did not get to watch that. So if I'm Netflix, of course you're going to put out a press release that says this was a huge success and this is everything that we wanted it to be and everything like that. But you had, I think the number was 280 million subscribers is what Netflix had. I'm just curious to know what their projection was for the number of subscribers or streamers they thought they would have at one time for this fight. I don't know how the forecasting there works. If they say we're going to get 10% of this, I think that's like 20. If they have 60 million subscribers watching and they have 280, I think it's about 20. I think I did the math. It was like 20 or 21% of your viewers watching the fight there. So if you're just projecting, maybe they only thought 10% of their subscribers, maybe they only thought 15% of their subscribers were going to watch, and so that's all they prepared for. But you have this event and you're offering this. It's not a good look in my opinion. It's not, and maybe I have a personal bias just because I didn't get to experience what I signed up for to watch a fight without buffering issues. And then Netflix kept having this screen pop up that said, oh, we're gonna basically troubleshoot the situation and we're gonna check Netflix server and then we're gonna check your internet. And every time it would go through that, it would say that my internet speed was perfect. It would work fine. And then you just kept pressing try again, and it never worked. So at the end of the day, I look at this situation as a project manager and I say, can we deem this event successful? Now, people that care about the bottom line, people that might get a bonus from a huge success like this, maybe that's all they care about, and that's great. Good for them. They're living their best life. I'm happy for them. But when it comes to the holistic approach of this event's impact on people and society and the customers, there was a huge lesson learned here, which is make sure that you have enough bandwidth for the traffic you're going to get for this event. You're literally getting to, you check Jake Paul's numbers online, you check Mike Tyson's numbers online. There's probably some sort of calculation you could do to say, it looks like we're going to get X number of this, and anybody can basically afford a Netflix account. Not a lot of people are going. This is like the shift in prize fighting where folks seem to be going away from the pay-per-view model to the streaming model. They just want to get streaming rights, and that's how they get their money. That's how they get their big cut. And so that's great for most valuable promotions. That's great for Netflix. These guys are doing well. They got great negotiating skills, great promoting skills, great marketing skills. Like, I'm not faulting them there, but from an execution standpoint of the event, it seems like they really failed a lot of the customers. And I'm not really quite sure, because they have an NFL event coming up in Christmas, if a lot of people are going to have faith in it. They might just boycott. It might be fine, but they might boycott it out of sheer just this experience and recency bias. Is that logical? Maybe not. I know that there was an issue like this, at least for me. I don't remember. I didn't dive into the research then, but I remember when Amazon Prime got the rights to Thursday Night Football. I think last year was the first year, and the first game was just very terrible with streaming. And so maybe they figured that out. And now these days, a year later, Amazon Prime, the streaming works fine. You can watch the game with a great experience. So I'm assuming Netflix, with the amount of money they make, they're going to have enough resources to be able to throw at this to get the problem fixed, hopefully by Christmas. But if you're looking at this one event and you're isolating it, I don't know if everybody's really thinking about 60 million viewers that they had, and they're saying that this was a great success. I think they're thinking about their own personal experience, and it's a social contagion where they're going to go online, and what's trending is going to be something about Netflix not working, and you're going to have people that have platforms that are saying it's not working for them, and that's going to be the story and the narrative for the brand of Netflix and for Jake Paul and for MVP promotion. So I think about it from that perspective. Great, they struck lightning in a bottle with this one, but the next one, how are you going to get people's trust back? How are you going to be able to win people back over? It's just a question I'm curious about to see how they execute on the next one. So I don't know. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Curious to know what your experience was like. Did you watch the fight? Do you care about the fight? Who do you want to see Jake Paul fight next? And if you didn't have any issues, tell me how was that experience? And if you did have issues, tell me exactly how you were feeling. Tell me about what your experience was, what emotions you were facing whenever you were dealing with that. Are you boycotting Netflix moving on? Are you going to trust them and hope that they're going to do better on Christmas Day if you're an NFL fan? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. I want to have a dialogue there to figure out what you guys are thinking about this. If you really like this video, I want to do more commentary videos on the culture. I really think about things from a project manager's perspective and think about what is success. How do you define success when these cultural events happen? So I'll probably do more of these just because I enjoy doing it and I have the freedom to do that. This is my channel. Until next time, my name is Ryan Holguin here with The Practical Place, where project management meets real life. I'll see you in the next video.